Perth, a city that would soon become our new home, a place that seemed like a distant dream. It seemed like a world away from our life in London, with its bustling streets and iconic landmarks that we had grown so accustomed to. The sun was brighter, the beaches were endless, and the accent, it was all so different, so new and so exciting. Well, that was going to take some getting used to. The way people spoke, their expressions, it was like learning a new language. I was 10 years old when my family packed up our belongings and boarded a plane to start a new life in Australia. It was a monumental change, leaving behind everything we knew. It was an exciting time filled with the promise of adventure, the thrill of the unknown, the excitement of new beginnings. Little did I know one of those adventures would be far more terrifying than anything I could have imagined. A journey into the unknown that would test my courage. Perth was a city full of surprises, from its laid-back vibe to its stunning natural beauty. Every corner held something new, something unexpected. We quickly settled into our new home, and I began attending the local primary school. It was a fresh start, a chance to make new friends and create new memories. It was there that I heard whispers of Fremantle Prison, a place shrouded in tales of hardship, sorrow, and the supernatural. Stories that sent shivers down my spine. These stories piqued my curiosity, painting vivid pictures in my mind of the stories these walls could tell. I was drawn to the mystery, the history, the unknown. Little did I know I was about to become a part of Fremantle Prison's chilling narrative. A narrative that would weave itself into my own story. A story that would stay with me long after the sun set on that fateful day. A day that would change my life forever, leaving an indelible mark on my memory. The announcement of a school trip to Fremantle Prison sent a shiver down my spine. The very thought of visiting such a notorious place filled me with a mix of dread and curiosity. It was one thing to hear stories whispered in the playground, tales of ghosts and eerie happenings, but to actually step inside those walls was a whole other prospect. The reality of it was far more intimidating than any story we had ever heard. Despite my apprehension, there was a part of me, a thrill seeker perhaps, that was drawn to the unknown. The idea of uncovering the mysteries hidden within those ancient walls was irresistible. The day of the trip arrived, and a nervous excitement filled the air as we boarded the bus. Conversations buzzed with speculation about what we might encounter. Fremantle Prison loomed ahead, a monument to a dark and troubled past. Its towering structure seemed to cast a shadow over our spirits. Its imposing walls seemed to hold secrets, stories of the countless lives that had passed through its gates. Each brick seemed to whisper tales of hardship and despair. Stepping off the bus, the air grew heavy, thick with an oppressive silence that seemed to amplify the pounding in my chest. The atmosphere was almost tangible, wrapping around us like a cold, invisible cloak. We were met by our guide, a stern-looking woman with a no-nonsense demeanor and a set of keys that jangled ominously with every step she took. Her presence only added to the gravity of the place. As we followed her into the prison, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were entering a place where darkness lingered. The corridors seemed to close in around us, each step echoing with the weight of history. The prison walls were cold and unforgiving, their rough stone surface a stark reminder of the harsh realities that had unfolded within. These walls had witnessed countless stories of pain and suffering, each stone seemingly imbued with the echoes of the past. Our guide led us through the prison, her voice echoing off the walls as she recounted tales of the convicts who had been imprisoned there. Her words painted vivid pictures of the lives that had been confined within these walls, each story more harrowing than the last. She spoke of their crimes, their punishments, and the despair that clung to every corner of the prison. The guide's voice carried a weight of sorrow, as if she herself could feel the lingering anguish of those long-gone souls. We shuffled through cell blocks, each one more oppressive than the last. The narrow corridors seemed to close in on us, the heavy silence only broken by the occasional creak of old wood or the distant murmur of other visitors. The air was thick with the stench of stale sweat and fear, a ghostly residue of the anguish that had seeped into the very fabric of the building. It was as if the walls themselves were breathing, exhaling the sorrows of the past. The guide pointed out the flogging post, a chilling reminder of the brutal punishments inflicted on the prisoners. The sight of it sent shivers down our spines, a stark symbol of the cruelty that had once been commonplace. We stood in the exercise yard, imagining the convicts pacing back and forth, their hopes and dreams slowly crumbling away with each passing day. The high walls seemed to trap not just the prisoners, but their very spirits, leaving them with nowhere to escape. Each step we took, each story we heard, burrowed deeper under my skin. The weight of history pressed down on us, making it hard to breathe, as if the very air was laden with the sorrow of those who had suffered here. It felt like we were walking through a history book, the pages filled with suffering and despair. Every corner we turned revealed another chapter of pain, another story of a life forever changed by the harsh realities of this place. The experience was haunting, a somber reminder of the darkness that once pervaded Fremantle's history. We descended further into the bowels of the prison, the air growing colder and more oppressive with each step. We reached a section of the prison that had been sealed off from the public for years. The guide explained that this area was considered to be the most haunted part of the prison. A shiver ran down my spine as we entered the cell block. The air was heavy and still, thick with an unseen energy that made the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end. The cells were small and cramped, barely large enough to hold a single bed. The walls were covered in scratches and graffiti, etched by the hands of desperate men who had long since left this world. I felt a cold spot beneath my feet, a sudden drop in temperature that sent a shiver down my spine. This place felt different, colder, like something was watching us from the shadows. The guide continued her tour, but my attention was drawn to a cell at the end of the corridor. It was darker than the others, shrouded in an unnatural gloom that sent a shiver down my spine. As I stared into the darkness, I saw it, a face. It was the face of a young girl, no older than me. Her eyes were wide with fear, and her pale skin was stretched taut over her bones. She was dressed in rags, and her long dark hair hung in tangled clumps around her shoulders. She stared directly at me, her eyes pleading for help. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. I couldn't breathe, I couldn't scream. The girl's image flickered in and out of focus, like a candle struggling to stay lit in a strong wind. But her eyes, those terrified eyes, remained locked on mine. The group continued moving, oblivious to what I had just witnessed. I wanted to say something, to tell someone what I had seen, but the words wouldn't come out. I was paralyzed with fear, my mind struggling to process the impossible. We finally left the cell block, and I practically ran back into the sunlight, desperate to escape the oppressive darkness. I glanced back at the cell block, half expecting to see the girl's face peering out from one of the windows. But it was gone. The cell block stood there, silent and ominous, as if nothing had happened. Despite the warmth of the sun, a cold dread had sunk its claws into me, a chill that went beyond the physical. The image of the girl, her eyes filled with a terror I could feel in my own bones, was seared into my mind. I knew, with a certainty that defied logic, that what I had seen was real. For years I kept the experience to myself. Who would believe a 10-year-old girl who claimed to have seen a ghost in a prison? I tried to convince myself that it had been my imagination, a trick of the light and the oppressive atmosphere of the prison. But deep down, I knew the truth. The image of the girl's face, etched into my memory, served as a constant reminder of the supernatural encounter I had experienced. It was a secret I carried with me, a hidden weight that cast a shadow over my life. The experience left an indelible mark on me. I became withdrawn and introspective, haunted by nightmares of the girl and the prison. The world, once a place of wonder and excitement, now seemed full of unseen dangers, lurking just beyond the veil of reality. Years have passed since that day at Fremantle Prison. I'm no longer that scared little girl, but the memory of what I saw has never faded. For a long time, I kept my experience bottled up inside, fearing judgment and disbelief. But recently, I felt a growing urge to share my story. Perhaps it's the passage of time, or maybe it's the realization that some experiences, no matter how unsettling, are meant to be shared. So here I am, putting my truth out into the world, for better or worse. I don't expect everyone to believe me, and that's okay. But if my story can encourage even one person to open their mind to the possibility of the unknown, then it's worth telling. Because the truth is, some things can't be explained away. Some encounters defy logic and reason, leaving us to question everything we thought we knew about the world and the boundaries of reality. Fremantle Prison remains a chilling reminder of the darker side of human history. But for me, it's more than just a historical landmark. It's a place where the veil between the living and the dead seems to thin, where the echoes of the past reach out to touch the present. The ghostly face I saw that day may forever remain a mystery, but it serves as a powerful reminder that some stories, some encounters, stay with us long after the lights have dimmed and the crowds have dispersed. They linger in the shadows of our minds, a haunting testament to the enduring power of the paranormal. And as for the girl with the terrified eyes, I can only hope that she found peace, wherever her spirit may now reside.